Welcome to this episode of Money on Your Mind. And oh, do I sympathize with this question so much. This question is coming in about kids' activities. How do you balance the cost of kids' activities? Oh man, as parents, don't we want to always make everything happen for our kids? We want to give them more than we had. We want to make sure that they have opportunities. I have two little athletes myself who both love gymnastics. In fact, we just came off of several gymnastics meets, and I'm that proud mama that sits in the stands and screams. In fact, their whole team turns around to see my reaction. So of course, I want to be able to make these things happen for our kids. And I also remember being a child whose parents worked multiple jobs to be able to make my athletic dreams happen and the things that were important to me. And let's caveat with, I wasn't like this dream athlete. I just loved being able to participate in extracurriculars. Look, it is expensive, and the sports mentality for kids becomes even more competitive, I feel like, now than even when I was a kid. I could play 3 sports in a year and nobody ever thought to blink about it. Whereas now it seems like it's year round, and we think about hockey and gymnastics and dance and all of these price points and all of these things that start to add up, and the weird schedules that we have and driving back and forth. And if they are a traveling sport, then they're overnight for different things. And then it becomes hotels. And then of course, as parents, it becomes admission to watch our children compete in the sport that they love. And of course, we want to be there to support them. So things start to add up. A lot of times I hear, especially with young parents, they're like, my kids are out of daycare. I just got a pay raise. No, friend, you did not get a pay raise. That is now going to be allocated to your kids' future activities, to post-secondary education, to lots of different things. Don't repurpose that money into something else. Repurpose that into other aspects of what is going to be important for your children. That being said, I think it's important sometimes for our kids to understand, not in a way where we're holding it above their head of how much their activities cost, but how do we help them understand that they too can have some skin in the game? Are there opportunities for them to do fundraising? Are there opportunities, if there aren't fundraising, for you to be the parent that says, hey, you know what? I think it would be really awesome if we had this level of availability for other families that maybe couldn't afford it. Because there might be another family out there that needs the same assistance that you do. And by you speaking up might offer them the same opportunity to do something else. I always say, if you have the question, there's likely that somebody else has the question there. That being said, is there a way that you can split up payments? I know when I was a high school athlete, I had the ability not only to do fundraising, to work off by volunteering and working at different things, work off my bill, because my parents couldn't pay for my competitive cheerleading, and how much it costs for us to travel and go to different trips and things like that. So I was able to work them off through volunteer hours. Then besides like selling things, I think oftentimes we think of selling candy bars, selling wreaths, selling soup, selling all these different things, which are wonderful, but what does that bring back to the accessibility? I also think being a part of the organization and advocating for how can we lower costs and make things more accessible, looking at grants that are available for the actual program to release some of these things. Sometimes we've got to think outside of the box about what is truly available for us. And then thinking about, too, being realistic as a family. If this is something that you and your family value in your child being able to participate in activities, what is it that you are willing to maybe sacrifice or give up in order to be able to do that? Maybe it's a trip every year that your family goes on for the sport, but you're not going on other family vacations because you're saving money to do this. I think sometimes we've got to think about, as hard as it is as parents, How are we saving for ourselves first and then our children? We are going to teach our children such great life skills about financial responsibility if we have the conversations with them. Too often, I hear parents that don't want to tell their kids about money, don't want their kids to be aware of how much things cost. And then I see those same children later in life having zero clues as to how to balance a budget, how to do things and operate in a financially healthy way, because nobody ever wanted to talk to them about money that's associated with the things that they want to be able to do. So I think it's important that we start to have those conversations with our kids at any age. In all reality, my girls are 7 and 8 years old, and we have very realistic conversations. And a lot of times that sounds like, hey, I just want you to be aware that mommy and daddy will absolutely be able to cover these types of costs, but it might mean we might not be able to get on an airplane every 4 months or once a year, whatever it might be. We set that standard for our girls and we have them choose. Is this something that you still want to be active in rather than pressuring them? Hey, giving them the choice of, hey, if this is something that you really love to do, just know that we might have to, from a time sacrifice and a financial sacrifice, be able to make some adjustments in our life. Consequently, the Foreman girls have chosen gymnastics, and that's what they continue to love being able to do. In a couple of years, might that still be the same case? Who knows? But as long as they continue to love it, we will continue to be able to try and find the ways to do it. But it might be that we're adjusting our lifestyle and not doing the same things that other people are doing so that we can provide for our children in the same way. I think way too often we get caught up in all of the different things that are associated with comparison. And for instance, in our gymnastics program, our program makes it really accessible. Leotards are very expensive. Tiny little pieces of spandex are very expensive. Our program actually rents them out. So every year we as a family aren't responsible for purchasing them. Instead, they're passed down. If our child mid-season grows out of a Leo, we get to upgrade to another Leo without having to pay out of pocket for something else. I know that not every program has that same ability, especially hockey. If your kids grow out of hockey skates, you got to buy another set of hockey skates. It's hard to think about some of those things, but go down the line items of all the things that it costs to be able to participate, not just the fees, but the equipment, and have a good understanding of maybe spreading that across a 12-month period rather than waiting for just that time period to happen. So thinking about total cost, thinking outside the box, how else can you be involved in the program and fundraise, and then spreading out that cost over the 12 months so that you're not just surprised by it. Set that money aside for whenever that season is happening. And if it's happening all 12 months out of the year, then you probably need to think about what are the other aspects of your life that you can reorganize to make sure that that happens, and having realistic conversations, especially if your kids are older. I think that this is something that we need to stop steering away from, and having our kids participate in those conversations, not in a shame-based way, but in an educational way. As always, if you have a question that you would like us to answer on Money on Your Mind, simply go to forethoughtplanning.com/resources and go to Money on Your Mind and submit your question there. Thanks so much and have a great day.